Hey, what's up guys? This is Alex from Answered Tech, and in this video I want to do something a little bit different. I don't have any script for this video, I just want to talk about what happened to my MacBook Air. So what happened was, I left this computer on the roof of my car as I was putting my backpack into my car. The computer, before I even realized, I'd already been driving, and the computer had fallen off in the middle of the road. And it was a busy road, multiple cars had already driven over it. It did have a case on it, a Thule case, but really at that point nothing was really going to save it. So I want to talk about, or show you, exactly what happened to the computer. So I'll just get right into it and show you what happened. As you can see on the top of the computer, there is not really too much damage. There's a little dent over here. I did dent it a little bit, but keep in mind this computer was in almost perfect condition before this happened. There really weren't any scratches or dents other than this little dent over here. But there is another little dent there from the accident, but the top of the computer actually looks pretty good. Moving to the inside of the computer, you can see, actually not too bad. You can see it still obviously looks like a MacBook Air. There isn't too much damage at first glance. You can see that the trackpad and the keyboard, I've actually tested them out and they seem to work okay. Obviously I'm not using this computer a lot anymore, so I don't think that there's anything wrong with them, but there could be. And I'll get a little bit deeper into what actually works on this computer and what doesn't in a minute. As you can see around the screen bezel, mostly around the bottom here, there are some pretty big dents. Keep in mind that when this computer fell off the roof of my car, it landed with the bottom facing up, so that's actually the part that was hit by the car tires, and the screen was facing the road. There are some dents here, but the screen looks like it's in perfect condition. There's also some dents up here near the webcam, but it looks pretty much intact. I was actually pretty surprised that the trackpad doesn't really have any damage. It is glass, so I was assuming maybe there would be a crack or at least some scratches or something, but it seems like it fared just fine. Now I'll go to the bottom of the computer before I actually turn it on and show you how it works. So as you can see on the bottom of the computer here, you can see there are some pretty severe dents. Hopefully you can see these. First of all, right here, there's this dent. Hopefully you can kind of see that. And it kind of shows the outline of the battery of the computer. It actually pushed right through the aluminum. Also, up here on the computer, you can see there are some pretty severe dents. Right around here, and you can see that the motherboard is actually pushing through the aluminum. Now, one thing I will say is that you might see around these screw holes here that there is some damage. I actually had to Dremel out little screw heads for these screws because they were damaged and I couldn't get a screwdriver to unscrew the screws, so I had to make little flathead marks to unscrew them with a regular flathead screwdriver, just to get this case off, this bottom case. So I'll take this bottom case off now and show you underneath. So as you can see, from the inside as well, you can see all those dents in this bottom case. Moving to the inside of the computer, it actually looks remarkably good for being run over by multiple cars. The battery seems to be completely intact. I was going to take the data off of the hard drive, but I actually don't have a reader for this type of hard drive. I'll probably be getting one soon. But anyway, it doesn't look like there's really too much damage on the inside. So I'm going to put this case back on now and turn on the computer for you and show exactly what happens when I turn it on. So I'll just turn it on. As you can see, it does make the startup noise like always. But as you can see, the screen is very damaged. Hopefully you can see that. You can see down here all of these different lines all over the screen. But you do notice when I move the trackpad, there is actually a line that moves across the screen. So when I first damaged this computer and I noticed that, I thought maybe something was actually still working on this computer. Maybe it was just the display. And I actually plugged it into a monitor, which I'll show you in a minute, and it actually worked completely fine, which I'm really, really surprised by. It looks to me like the only problem is actually this display assembly. I'm not positive. I did take it into the Apple store and they did some quick diagnostics, but I think the only problem is the screen. There could obviously be other problems, But when I do plug it into a monitor, it does seem to be fully functional. As you can see on the sides of the computer, these ports are actually not quite lined up with the motherboard and the frame anymore. They don't quite line up. You can see that there's actually some pretty severe dents on the computer itself, and it kind of bent the entire computer, the entire frame of the computer, and you can see that in this bottom case as well. So it's definitely not in perfect condition, but I think if I replace the screen, I might actually be able to salvage this computer and get it working again. So I'm going to plug this computer into a monitor now and show you that it actually works. So now I have the computer connected to this external HDMI monitor. It is driving the monitor through the Thunderbolt port, and it's just using a cable to convert the signal into HDMI. And as you can see, it looks like everything works perfectly. I can move my finger around the trackpad and the mouse moves just fine. The keyboard also works. When I logged in, it seemed to work perfectly, and it recognizes my Wi-Fi networks, and everything else seems to be working perfectly, other than, of course, the display on the computer itself. But I think I could replace the display, as I said before. It seems like that is really the only problem with this computer. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed this kind of content, let me know, and I'll produce more of this kind of content in the future. Drop a like on the video, or leave a comment if you have an idea for a future video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.